Hey, what's going on? Hope everyone had an amazing weekend. Welcome to episode 45 of Outside the Chute. I'm your host, Randy Frame. This week's OTC Player of the Week comes to us from the Edwardsburg Eddies out of Michigan as Caitlin Ty takes home the weekly honors. Caitlin went 12 for 16 with 6 home runs and 19 RBIs in just 4 games. Fantastic job, Caitlin. That's about 4 years worth of hitting stats for myself right there. Best of luck the rest of the season. On to this week's guest, and we sat down and chatted with Williams College Ephs alum and current Canadian national team member, Joey Lai. Joey had an amazing 4-year run at Williams College where she would set 5 all-time school records during her 4 seasons. Batting average, runs scored, hits, total bases, and stolen bases. She would also play varsity hockey as well, patrolling the blue line as part of the Ephs defense, where she tallied 41 points in 100 games. Joey has also had international success with Team Canada, as she has 3 WBSC bronze medals, 2 Pan Am Games silvers, and of course the epic 2015 Pan Am Games gold won on home soil in Toronto. We're going to talk to Joey about getting her start in the game, the decision to attend Williams College, jumping into the coaching ranks, as well as her time with Team Canada and their mission to bring back a gold medal from Tokyo in the upcoming Olympic Games. Joey was such a treat to chat with, and I know everyone's going to love this episode with one of the greats to ever wear the red and white. So as usual, grab that drink, sit back, relax, cause here we go.
I got the world in my palm, lights, camera, action, it's on. I can't describe what I'm feeling, ain't never felt this freedom. I got the world in my palm, lights, camera, action, it's on. Ain't never felt this freedom. Could you say that anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes. The one and only real deal hip hop.
All right, here we go. Joey, thanks for coming on the podcast.
No problem. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
How's things going down in sunny Florida?
Things are going really well. It's been really nice. Obviously, we had our camp up in Richmond Hill, Ontario in January. But just being able to be outside and being on a softball field again with our team has just been so amazing. So I cannot complain.
No doubt. I was going to say, what was it like to finally play a game again with your team?
It was crazy to think that it had been as long as it had. It'd been probably 18 months at that point, and just the thought that it had been that long was so much more crazy than how it felt, because, we'd seen each other in Halifax in February of 2020, and, March hit and we parted ways and we thought we were going to see each other in 10 days. And then all of a sudden, honestly, it feels like the last year escaped into a vortex. We keep saying, last year, 2 years ago. Yeah. So time really flew when we were apart, but it really was amazing to come back together and be back on a field together.
Yeah, I imagine. I talk about it all the time about, the last year, and it honestly feels like it's been like forever. like you say, it was 2019, but like when you guys were in Halifax, it was 2019 into 2020.
Yes, 2020 in Halifax.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. And like I can remember following you guys, and I was like, that feels like it was like 3 years ago now.
Yes, so much has happened since then, and then at the same time, it almost feels like the last year doesn't exist. Yeah,
very true, very true. So, how's the training going? Going good?
Yeah, it's going well. We're having a lot of fun together. We're remembering on the daily that it's a marathon and not a sprint, and being very conscious about how much we're exerting ourselves and understanding that, attack today, but also let's not overdo it today because we have tomorrow. And so we've talked a lot about, our mindset being today plus today plus today plus today, and just being in the moment and taking advantage of each and every practice, each and every inter squad, each and every game we have together.
Right on. Now, I see you guys got a pretty good setup down there in Florida. I like follow all you guys on social media, of course, and it seems like it's a really good setup you have going on down there.
We do. It has been amazing. The accommodation, the people. So there are two individuals that are at the field every single day with us, Ludi and Ted, and they bend over backwards for us and just make us feel so welcome at home. And they're willing to do anything and everything for us to make this the best training situation possible. And to have 4 different fields, right there in one complex to work with. We can set different things up on each field and have everybody busy working on things and have super productive practices. So it has been a great setup for us.
Oh, I see the gym setup. How convenient is it that it's overlooking a rink? I thought that was amazing.
Yes, absolutely. We feel right at home. Looking over, there's a rink on both sides, actually, of the gym, windows on both sides. And so, yeah, that has been nice. There's a little shooting room just attached to the gym. And so a couple days I've jumped in there and taken some shots, and it's just awesome. It's been a really great setup. And the, Miranda, the owner of that gym, has just been so awesome. She puts motivational messages up on the TVs around the gym for every single day, a new one each day that we're there. And it's just another situation where we feel so welcome and empowered. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
We'll jump into the Olympics here a little bit later. We're going to start with a thing we call quick pitches on here. It's going to be I'm going to throw some random questions to you, and you answer them as best you can.
All right.
Ready to go? All right. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To fly.
Favorite movie of all time?
The Italian Job.
Oh, good movie. Biggest phobia?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm going to have to say heights.
Heights, okay. Do you have any pregame superstitions?
I do not. Pretty go with the flow person, honestly.
Okay. What's your go-to meal?
Pancakes.
What? I did not expect that.
Yes, I'm a breakfast person through and through. I can eat breakfast for any meal of the day and every meal of the day. I actually had pancakes this morning to start my day. Add a little protein in there, throw some bananas in there, top it with some peanut butter. I'm a happy camper.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. All right. Where am I at here? Okay, there we are. Game-ending highlight reel catch or walk-off home run?
Ooh, I mean, the first thing that pops into my head is Kaylee Rafter's walk-off home run
yes.
for our qualifying game against Brazil on September 1st of 2019. It was just, we were thinking about the fact that we would end that game on defense, not having that kind of moment. If we were on defense, we would be able to all run together in the center of the circle. And so she provided that walk-off moment for us, which was really exciting.
What a moment it was too.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite NHL team?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
I knew that. I knew it had to be. God, they made some good trades at the deadline. I will say that.
There's hope.
It seems there's always hope in Leafland.
Yes.
Are tomatoes a fruit or a vegetable?
Vegetable.
Okay. Last one. If you could have a meal, drink, or hang out with one celebrity, who would that be?
One celebrity. I would have to say Vicky Sanahara.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Just takes me back to my roots and kind of the first role model I had as a young athlete. I attended her hockey camps. And so just as an adult now, to be able to sit down and chat with her about kind of the road she paved for female athletes, I think that'd be super cool. And for those listeners who don't know, she was on the Canadian national team for ice hockey. Yep. And in Canada, we just say hockey. Clearly, I've been in the US for too long. for a number of years. And so, yeah, she would be there. I almost said Michael Jordan because I just finished watching The Last Dance.
Wasn't that so good?
So good, so inspiring, and just seeing the behind the scenes kind of life that he lived, and how just his work ethic in general.
Yeah.
The stuff that you don't hear about in the newspapers, it was pretty inspiring. So that was a close second.
Yeah. My favorite episode of that Last Dance was the one Dennis Rodman episode. And
yes,
Rodman was saying about, Michael was going on about, they couldn't find him for like 48 hours because he left the team, and Michael goes to Vegas and finds him in a hotel room with Carmen Electra and says, "Come on, let's go." And Dennis walks out with pajama bottoms on, and they go to the gym, and Rodman outruns the whole team.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. What a gamer, just to show up and have the passion despite, his different decisions off the field or off the court than a lot of the other players had, but just to be able to show up and have that passion and drive to still make it happen.
Yeah. Something else. So with every guest that we have on here, we start off with tell us when and where you got your start in the game.
Okay. My start in the game of softball was actually down the road from my house. It was just a house league and in the little neighborhood of Bridlewood. And yeah, it was 5-pitch at the time. So you pitched to your own team and you had 5 pitches in order to put the ball in play. And if you didn't, you were out. Yep. And that's where it all started.
Right on. So how was the competition growing up, like the minor ball system there?
It was, after about 10 years old, I think 10 was my first year of rep ball, or travel ball, if you will. And that was kind of my first introduction to competitive softball. And after that year, we actually formed our own team with a lot of the folks that had grown up playing in that Bridlewood House League. Okay. And we ended up having one of the powerhouse teams of Canada. We were together for 7 years. We won a few national championships and just had, put ourselves in a situation to be challenged. We came to the US a number of times for big tournaments, pony nationals, different things like that, and did fairly well. So even though, having 10% of the population in Canada compared to the US, we were able to both be successful in Canada and come down and face good competition and be successful in the US.
Wow, 7 years.
Yes. The core of us, we were together for 7 years.
Wow. Geez, no wonder you can get so good. Together, if, you get together for 2 or 3 years and you form a chemistry and everything, but geez, 7 years. Wow. That's impressive.
Yes. Thank you.
So, I know you were into hockey too growing up. Were there ever any overlaps with the hockey, or were you able to keep them separate?
Oh, there were overlaps all the time. For softball, we basically would get the month of December off, and then we'd start back into practices in January. And so I would go to, if it was the first half hour of softball or hour, whatever I could fit in, and then be changing in the car on the way to hockey practice or game or whatever it was, and just, try to juggle as best I could and get the best out of both situations. But I cannot state enough the importance, in my opinion, of playing more than one sport. And I think that there's so much pressure these days for kids to specialize in one sport so early. Mm-hmm. And I just think back to when I'd be in the heart of a season and it would start winding down, and I would get so excited for the next season, and I would just be fresh and ready to go and ready to attack it. And, it's hard to not see that in the youth these days because they're doing the same thing day in and day out year round.
Yeah. And it's funny, you just answered my next question. My next question was thoughts on multi-sports athletes, yay or nay. And you just answered it. And I couldn't agree more. I can distinctly remember, growing, because of course I played hockey as well. And hockey would be winding down in, March, April. And I'd be thinking, oh, okay, get start ball up here soon. And then it was the same thing with ball. Ball would be ending, September, and be like, oh, here comes hockey. And I think that like benefited me big time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just the small differences in the games and just training, as a general athlete and having even something as simple as leading a teammate to a base with a throw. I gained the ability to do that because of hockey, because of leading a teammate with a pass.
Right.
And so there's so many different small overlaps from one game to another that will just enhance the other sport.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So what led to the decision to attend Williams College? I know, like, I listened to the Twos Talk podcast, of course, but it was ice hockey. I'm saying ice hockey. Listen to me. It was hockey initially, was it not?
Yeah. So hockey was my one love for most of my life, and low key, when people still ask which sport I enjoy playing more, it's hockey. But the opportunity came in softball post college, and I love sports so much. So it's not like I don't love softball, but there's just something about the game of hockey. And, I haven't been on the ice in about 3 years now, and I cannot wait till the day that I strap those skates back on and get out there. There's just something about feeling the wind in your hair and on a fresh sheet of ice. There's nothing like it.
Oh, it's amazing. So how were you able to juggle the two when you were there?
I am a very in the moment person. And so whichever season I was in, I was fully invested in that season, and my teammates on the other team understood that and knew that. And, if I got to attend a meeting or whatever it was when I was in a different season, that would be great. And if I didn't, they would know that I was working hard at my other craft.
Right.
And Williams for me it checked all the boxes. And when I was getting ready to go to school or thinking about going to school, I had my absolutes. And for me, it was to play hockey, to play softball, and to get a good education. And Williams was the first school that came along that checked all of those boxes. And when I went on campus for my visit, it felt right. It was a good fit. I loved the people. I loved the atmosphere. And so there was no question for me that it was the right place.
Right on. Now, when I do these podcasts, I go into a pretty good research pattern, which I do. Now, I looked up Williams College and I came across a few things, actually. First of all, I want to know, do you know what an Eph is?
Oh my. Okay. So the founder of Williams was Ephraim Williams.
Yes. Good.
Yes. And so there were some stipulations with regard to him, donating all his money to start this school. And a lot of it had to do with just the naming of things. And so I believe it was the student body that voted on a mascot, which I don't know why you would pick a purple cow.
That's what I was going to ask. Where the hell did a purple cow come from?
Yeah, there are many rumors. I'm not sure which one is true, but the most convincing story I've heard is that there was a student paper called The Purple Cow. And so that's kind of where it stemmed from. And just going along with the theory of the school being named Williams in Williamstown, it just made sense to then also name the mascot after Ephraim Williams.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. So skiing and squash must be pretty big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have at Williams very successful skiing and squash programs. I believe both of those programs compete against a lot of Division I schools and do pretty well. Yeah,
I come across that too. I was like, they compete at Division I. That's pretty impressive. Now,
you do your research.
The other thing I come across was when I was going through the alumni. I was like, holy cow. Aaron Burnett from CNN.
Yes.
Went there, and George Steinbrenner.
Yes.
I was like, what? George Steinbrenner? That's from Seinfeld.
Yes, there are a lot of pretty successful individuals who have come out of Williams, and it's just the Alumni Association in itself is an amazing part of being a student there. And so, not just enjoying the time you have on campus, but then post graduation, there's so much connection, there's so much community, and that's another amazing thing that I had no idea when Williams came into my life that there'd be all those benefits.
Right on. So, well, tell us about your time there. How much did it prepare you for how you are as the person you are today?
I would say it played a huge role in preparing me for post college, because I continued to juggle multiple things, with coaching both hockey and softball, and then trying out for the national team right after graduation. Unfortunately didn't make it at that time, but so I was training full time with the hopes and dreams of making it in 2010. And so juggling coaching 2 programs and training in order to fulfill my dream, it was basically like I was still living a similar life to when I was in college, and,
right.
Balancing those 2 teams. And instead of my studies, it was then working on my craft as a softball player. So I would say it prepared me immensely. And even looking forward a few years from there, coaching 2 programs I'd moved on to a different school, but coaching 2 programs, training full time, and then working on my master's online as well. And had I not had that insanely crazy busy experience at Williams, I don't know, I would have been able to handle that.
Right on. That's cool. So I need to know, how intense was the rivalry with Amherst College?
Oh my goodness. Don't even bring up their name. No, it's a pretty special rivalry that dates back. I can't remember the exact year, but the president of Williams College decided, this school's not going to make it. They took, the story goes, they took half the library books, they took half the professors, and they went over the mountain and started a new college, and which turned into Amherst College. And
1859.
There you go.
I just looked it up. Wow. That's crazy. 1859.
Yes.
Wow.
So it is a very deeply rooted rivalry.
Wow. I can only imagine, like, it's one thing, to be on the ball field, but when you were playing hockey, that must have been crazy.
Yes, it was. I remember one of my most memorable games. I don't even know if we won or lost, but I just remember I was feeling way under the weather and wasn't even sure I'd be able to play. And it was one of my best games because it was against Amherst. And, regardless of how much you have in the tank when you're playing a team like that, you just find a whole nother level you didn't even know you had.
True Canadian hockey player right there. And I guess
I have to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just have to share one story about the Williams-Amherst rivalry. There was a time that Amherst students came over to campus and they spray painted a huge A on the football field at Williams.
Wow.
And so Williams students went back, snuck in the nighttime over to Amherst and spray painted a B- on their field. Okay.
I feel like that's a rom-com movie. But awesome at the same time.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow. Actually, what was I had a question I was going to ask you, and that just threw me right off.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Oh, what was it? Oh, well, maybe I'll think about it in a second here. But anyway, I'm going to jump onto the Canadian national team. Now, I know you touched on this with, Tosh, Dino, and Donnie on Tuesday Talk, but I laughed at the story when I heard about how you ended up on Team Canada's radar and the role your parents played. Do you mind sharing that story again?
I don't mind at all. I 100% give all the credit to my parents. I was getting ready to graduate from Williams, and I, was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life and wasn't set on the fact that softball would be a big part of my life regarding a playing career post-college. And I'm on the phone with my parents, and they said, okay, so we signed you up for a tryout. It's an open tryout for Team Canada. I said, sorry, you did what? They're like, yeah, we signed you up. So we're going to go. And it was out in BC. And so, I wasn't all about it. I was unsure, nervous.
Yep.
And my mom lovingly flew out there with me, and I attended the tryout. And despite my nerves, somehow Coach Smith still thought that there was something potentially in me. So he invited me to the final camp and got the chance to go over to Vancouver Island and give it a go again. Scared out of my pants, shaking in my boots. And I definitely didn't perform to the level that I was capable of. And so we came back over to the mainland, and they actually, in that day, they had phone calls to your hotel room starting at 7 a.m. for you to come meet with the coaches to learn your fate. And so that whole night I did not sleep, and unfortunately got that call, just after 7 to talk about my situation. And I, was handed a plane ticket home and just asked about the different things I could do over the next year in order to come back and make a case for myself, and just put my head down and worked my butt off for the next 12 months and made it the next year. But it was just amazing, in a 2-week span, going from, I can't believe my parents are making me do this, and I don't think I deserve to be here. And then 2 weeks later, being devastated and feeling like I know that I can perform at this level, and I have the potential in me, and just having that fire lit. It was an unreal experience.
Oh, imagine that! Like, I can only imagine going there and thinking, do I even belong here? And then walking away thinking, I definitely belong here. Like, that must be a fantastic feeling.
Absolutely.
Now, how special was it getting the call the next year, that you're named to the team?
I can't even describe that feeling in words. It was just such a cool moment after the hard work that had been put in, over that last year. My coach would allow me to show up to the field early. She'd hit me ground balls. She'd let me jump into practices, get base running reads. She'd hit me fly balls, ground balls, throw me front toss. Some of the pitchers on the team would throw to me so that I could get, every kind of rep in that you can think of, and spend, all the hours in the weight room, and worked with the track and field coach on my sprinting form. And it was just, to be worth it at the end of that year, and be able to jump into the team and just grow on a daily basis from there on out. It was a pretty special moment for me.
Right on. So your first world competition was the 2010 WBSC World Championships in Caracas. You captured bronze medal. What do you recall? Yes. What do you recall about that event?
I recall the feeling of, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that I'm here, and just soaking it up and being so in the moment, so invested, one pitch to the next. And, my role was smaller at that time, and it was a new role for me. But I was just happy to be there, and I was invested in whatever the team needed in, each moment, each day. And so to see, just pure joy, coming out of that tournament with a medal, and looking back now, that was the beginning of this career. And so it's a pretty special moment. Right on.
So when you guys were there, were you guys able to tour around and see the landscape there?
Not much. So at that time there were some pretty big scares with regard to tourists. Okay. And so, we had police officers on motorcycles that would surround our bus on the way to and from the field. And so it was very much a, hotel to the field kind of situation. So not much sightseeing for us. Okay.
I always wonder about that, when teams are, down South America or abroad from North America, essentially, except for, like Europe, or we know what it's like over there. I just always wonder, what the culture is like, what it's like everyday living over there. It's just something that interests me anyway. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's jump to 2015. Epic Pan Am Games gold medal win against the U.S. Now, I've talked about the win a lot on here, with other members of your team, but I like getting the personal perspective on it. How awesome was that for you?
That was unreal. I'll just tell you a short story. The night before that gold medal game, I was actually roommates with Jenna. So full circle, as we're roommates right now. And we were in the village, lights were out. We hadn't said a word for probably 20 minutes. And, in the darkness, I didn't even know if she was awake. And all of a sudden it just came over me. I said, "Hey, Jenna." She said, "Yes." I said, "We're going to win tomorrow." She's like, "I know." And then no other words were spoken. We went to bed, woke up the next morning, had a team breakfast, and it was just, we were in it to win it. We were there, we were present, we were confident, and everything fell into place. And what an amazing day.
She told that story on here. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Awesome. But I've watched that game so many times now, and I talked about Sarah pitched unreal in that game. Just unreal. Like she let everything out of the tank, and it was just, it was such a good performance. And the fact that, not only that, but the men's team won gold as well. And it being in Toronto it was just perfect. Like, the stars aligning. Yes, 100%. It was like everything just, we were present, we were in the moment, and just everything fell our way. It was, it was a great day. Right on. Now, you've got to travel all over the world for this game. Are there any special places, that stick out, whether it's from an event, their culture, something you've experienced? I appreciate pretty much everywhere that we have been as a team. I think something that was eye-opening to me was the European culture when we were in over in the Netherlands, and just the outlook that they have on life with regard to a little bit slower pace. A lot of people ride their bikes around, and just very, very calm and collected, and enjoy their day to day. So I definitely walked away from that experience, obviously having grown up in Canada and lived a lot of my adult life in the US, and just a very much, work driven, faster paced life. Mm-hmm. So that was a really cool perspective to have. Right on. So what was, I know you've been over to Japan, of course. How was that culture? They are unbelievably welcoming, and the performances they put on when we get there to welcome us there, the accommodations that they provide, and just I can't even put into words how accepting and welcoming they are. They just, they make you feel so special, and there's no country that does it better. There's a group of people who have hosted us for camps, and I believe we're going back there for some training prior to the Olympics. And they continue to put stuff out on social media about us, and just they're so excited to have us. And it's hard to describe how welcoming they are and how much they go above and beyond to make us feel at home. Yeah. Well, I remember the video that they put out, I think it was after the pandemic hit, of course. And I think it was like introducing every single one of you as like you would have been there, if I'm remembering correctly. I think they took everybody's flag and they did. Do you recall this? Yes. Yeah. Like that, them doing that is just, that's fantastic on their part. Yes. And they continue to do little things like that and post it on social media and keep taking the time and energy out of their lives to show how excited they are to have us come back. Oh, that's going to be awesome. I hate that. I shouldn't say hate. I'm glad that that the Olympics are going to happen and everything. But at the same time, the fact that, crowds won't be able to be there except for, I shouldn't say crowds, people from away can't come in. I think it sucks that you're not going to get the full on effect that you get, but at the same time, you're getting the Olympic experience.
Exactly. And I think a large portion of our team are introverts. And I just bring that up because I am specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it is extremely disappointing to not have those other aspects, have the big fan base from home, have the Canada House, and have the ability to go to all these other events. And then on the flip side, the way I'm choosing to look at it is that now I can focus 100% on softball and on our journey and on our games day to day, and have zero other distractions or zero other decisions to make. Should I go watch that other game? Am I going to be tired tomorrow if I do? Should I go hang out with all these other people, or is that going to kind of drain me as an introverted person? So for me, I'm choosing to look at it that way and just will focus 100% on our daily task at hand.
And it'll probably help the team chemistry. I think it'll help, because, you're going to have to be around each other, for the entire time. And I think that can only build the team chemistry, which I think essentially is one of the major parts of winning championships.
Absolutely. And we do already have such a strong culture within our program. And I think that this whole experience has increased that 100-fold because we've had to be together. We've had to make all these different or follow all these different protocols and do all these different things and have such a different experience than it would have been. So I think you're totally right. It has added that whole element of bringing us even closer together.
Yeah, for sure. Now I want to jump into the coaching for a bit. What was the thing that drove you into the coaching?
You know what? I was getting close to the end of my college career, and I just knew that I loved sports, and I didn't know of anything else in my life that I had that much passion for. And so I approached my softball coach. It was actually on the bus ride to Amherst, and asked her if there would be a possibility for me to stay around the next year and be her assistant coach. And it was a good fit. And it turned out that our hockey coach was leaving that summer. And so I had to wait for the new coach to get hired, and then had a conversation with her, and it seemed like a good fit there too. And so it just kind of fell into place and almost seemed like a natural progression on campus for me to move into those roles. And it forced me to grow up pretty fast, having to move from a teammate to now a coaching role with 3 class years of players, and pushed me to learn a lot about coaching and just, being an adult and no longer being a college student, but in a small town there where Williams is. And I just loved it. I couldn't get enough of it from day one. Right. So
I actually wonder, how is it? I always wondered about, coaches that go from playing with athletes and then having to coach them next year. How, I've never had to do it. I coached junior hockey for 7 years, and I never had to do that. Thank God. But I always wondered, what the relationship was like, after you went from teammate to being a coach.
Yeah, I think in unique circumstances, it can work. It was definitely challenging, but I think thankfully I had respect. I had the respect of my teammates, once I was graduating. And so that transition was a little bit easier. Versus if I hadn't had that respect, then I feel like it would have been a huge struggle to make that transition. And all it took, if I'm being completely honest, the first weekend that the players were going out on the town, I got a text and I didn't respond to it. And the next time I saw that individual, I said, you know what, that is not okay. I'm in a new role now. And we never had an issue after that moment of, keeping those two words separate.
Right on. So I was wondering how was the transition from, going, telling Bucknell that, you're stepping away to do this. And of course they were supportive, of course, but how was that for you, stepping away from the team?
That was extremely challenging for me. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in my life. And it's the players for me, just having made those personal connections and been, in the trenches with them, and having been in that role for 3 years there. I was extremely invested in that program and in those individuals. And so it was extremely, extremely challenging for me to step away. But looking back, I'd had the dream of being a professional athlete, of being an Olympian since I was, 8 years old. And so it was a no-brainer, although it was a very tough decision, if that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So do you plan on getting back into it after the Olympics?
I've actually gotten really involved in a company called Area Scouts, and it is a remote position that I am in, and they have been amazingly wonderful, understanding that I'm focused on the Olympics right now and training, and that I'll be able to grow my role after the Olympics happen. And so at this point in time, I am anticipating being extremely invested in Area Scouts. And
so what is it?
Great question. So it is a health-based program for youth athletes, anywhere from youngsters to high school, looking to get recruited kind of athletes. And when you sign up on the platform, you get an evaluation that is a movement-based evaluation. So we'll screen for any kind of deficiencies or if there's any pain in any movements. And that is the whole beginning. So those athletes will not jump into training unless they have been through that screening and have essentially passed and don't have pain with movements and have a good foundation to build on. Once that happens, then the athlete gets an evaluation with regard to their sport. So Area Scouts has been growing insanely fast, and we're now involved in baseball, softball, volleyball, rugby, lacrosse, adding hockey soon. And so it's a pretty great platform, in my opinion. I was sold, after a few minutes of my first conversation with Lance, who is the head of the company, and just one, the fact that it's health-based, and two, the fact that it's affordable. It's $97 for an evaluation, and it's $20 a month to be on the platform and have access to your evaluators. And so I think it's such a great
cost right there. $20 a month. Wow.
Yes. And there are obviously things you can buy into, more in-depth things or more advanced coaching. But just the fact that we can provide such an affordable platform across the board, throughout North America and throughout Canada. And we'll be hiring evaluators all over both countries. So there will be opportunities for players to get high-level coaching who haven't had access to that in the past.
That's awesome. Well, best of luck in that, because that sounds extraordinary.
Thank you.
I want to touch on Athletes Unlimited, because I rave about that on here all the time. I absolutely loved it. How great was that experience?
It was indescribable, honestly. It was so empowering and so unique and so needed in this year of COVID. And
absolutely. Yep.
Yes. And just, it was such an amazing opportunity and came at a perfect time. And, I think I was actually talking to Kat Osterman about this towards the end of the season when we were wrapping things up, and just saying, I would never in my life wish a pandemic on the world, but every time I would wish this extra year with regard to softball. And just not only the training that we got to enhance our game over this additional year, but just the opportunity to play in that league and feel so empowered to take control over our daily practices, our daily recovery. And it was just such a unique experience being a player-led league. And I think enhanced so many people's games who were in the league, and was just an amazing start to what I hope is an amazing continuing professional league.
Now, were you able to use your coaching skills when you were there?
Well, a little bit, but I would have had to, unfortunately, perform way better in order to be a captain to kind of take full control of that. But it was still such a cool experience to have that opportunity to kind of own your own experience throughout.
Yeah. Well, the whole concept is amazing. Like, having a different cap. Well, I shouldn't say a different cap, because if you're in the top 4 every week, then, you get to run a team, and the whole draft and the point system. I just, it was just such a smart way, to throw out there, because now there's a different way to look at the game, right?
100%. And I've never had an experience like that where no matter what the score was, you were still so invested in the outcome of every single pitch. There was a game we were in that was 18-3. We were losing, and we were still so invested in, like I said, every single pitch and just what happened each moment of the game. So yeah, it was a very unique way to look at the game of softball, and I think is super beneficial going into the Olympics and being able to, no matter what the situation is in the game, having that ability and having that experience of being in the moment and excited for the next pitch.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Olympics, they're coming up. Anticipation level must be ramping up big time now.
Yes, absolutely. I think we're 97 days out from first pitch, if I'm not mistaken. And it, after especially this year-long delay, just the excitement around that and working hard to maintain our mindset of today plus today plus today, despite that excitement that we have.
Excited to get back to the Canadian Wild?
Yes, that'll be fun too, because with the cancellation of the NPF, we all assumed that we would never wear those jerseys again. And so we are ecstatic to be able to be back in that stadium, and another organization that just went above and beyond for us. And it was such a pleasure to play there. We're excited to throw those jerseys back on and be around that environment again.
So how's that schedule working anyway? I mean, I looked at it briefly. Is it so other teams are coming there for pretty much the month of May and June?
Yes. So May 28th is our first game there. We have a 3-day series against the USSSA Pride. And then the following weekend, we have a 3-day series against Mexico. 1 day off, followed by a 3-day series against Florida All-Star team. And then that following week, we play the Netherlands over 4 different days. It looks like 5 games over a span of 5 days. So we'll get lots of good competition while we're there.
That's awesome. Can't wait to witness that anyway. On to the last thing here on the podcast, little thing we call player association. I'm going to throw out some names to you, and you can say as much or as little about them as you want.
Okay.
Here we go. First one, Libby Copeland-Halpern.
Whoa. Just a competitor and an amazing student athlete. I would say if there's a definition of student athlete, that is Libby.
Plastic surgeon now, isn't she?
Yes. Very, very smart individual.
My research.
So impressive.
Next is Sheena Lawrick.
Wow. Sheena. Sheena was one of those players, when I first joined the national team, that I just kind of gravitated to. She, again, I'll use the word competitor, but just such a welcoming presence at the same time as being, a no bullshit. Like we're here, let's put our best foot forward and let's all do this together. So what a great person.
Awesome. Next is Kristen Mueller.
Oh my goodness. What a gem. Okay. So Kristen was a player for me, and then she was an assistant coach with me and was also a roommate of mine. So when she started coaching with me, she rented a room from myself and my wife and lived with us for a bit. And so I was able to get to know her not only, in that coach player relationship. She was a captain her senior year, and then as a coworker and human being. And just, there are not enough nice words in the world to describe Kristen.
Fantastic. Next is Lauren Hadley.
Oh my goodness. Another competitor and also a goofball. Like just
those are the best. Those are the best.
Yes. Just dancing and singing around, before the game, quoting movies and then step on the field, and it's let's get this done and compete. So just a wonderful person to coach and watch her grow on and off the field.
Excellent. Last on the list, friend of the show, current roommate, Jenna Kyra.
Jenna. So Jenna and I have known each other since we were, I might have been 14 years old when she first showed up at one of our practices. And it's what an honor to grow and play alongside Jenna. Just the kindest heart that you'll ever find in the game of softball, probably in life. And just also such a hard worker and always working every single day to master her craft. So I feel honored to call her a roommate and friend and teammate, and I'm excited to finish this journey out with her.
That's awesome. Well, Joey, I got to thank you for coming on. This has been fantastic. I need to wish you the best of luck, for the rest of the training, the games coming up, and especially the Olympics. Hopefully bring home gold medal to Canada. That would be unreal.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And my goal and what I wake up every single day to do is to fulfill that request that you just made. Awesome.
Well, I'll let you get back to, I know there's a few people there, and let you get back to, enjoying the Florida sunshine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and appreciate this podcast. Thank you so much for doing it.
All right. Take care, Joey.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks.
Don't know about me, don't know about you. Don't know where I've been or what I've been through. Before you get close, just know that it's true. If I ain't all in, don't get it confused. Cause I got trust issues. Yeah. I got trust issues. Yeah. Don't know about you, don't know about me. Don't know what I do, don't know what I've seen. Before we get close, better follow my lead. If I ain't all in, just know that it's me. And I got trust issues.
Yeah. Ooh, I hate to say it so, but I don't trust a soul. People pulling on my strings like it's a puppet show. For anybody I don't know, leave me the fuck alone. Cause I ain't comfortable to be in crowds like a buffalo. Wait, looking at your picture like what's real or not. Too many filters on your face, baby, peel it off. Always gotta take a smell of what that dealer brought. They say it's skunk marijuana when it's bunk marijuana. We don't jump when you wanna, best believe it. Leave it, they'll break bread with you, then double cross you like Jesus. Oh, we used to say don't believe it till you see it. But nowadays even seeing it don't guarantee it. I don't trust.
Don't know about you, don't know where I've been or what I've been through. Before you get close, just know that it's true. If I ain't all in, don't get it confused. Cause I got trust issues. Yeah. I got trust issues.
Yeah.
Don't know about you, don't know about me. Don't know what I do, don't know what I've seen. Before we get close, better follow my lead. If I ain't all in, just know that it's me.
And I got trust issues. Yeah.
I got trust issues.
Shut the whole thing
I got trust issues.
It takes a lot for me to take your word. Cause I've been had a couple times, I'ma say it first. My ex-girl cheated on me, I was out the door. My next girl had to prove that she was out for more. Wait, you talk a lot of game, but we just don't believe you. You need to tighten up your lips, baby, do some kegels. I ain't your boy, I ain't your friend, you need to tell your people I don't associate.